Thank you very much. First of all, thanks a lot to Marta for her case studies, because it's worth to mention, as I will tell now about the web games, it's worth to mention that on the web you have some instruments to make all these user experience researchers recording their evidence and how they use the product on the web, which is not possible so easy on mobile. So you can use it and somehow maybe even explore it to the mobile experience environment. So I'm from Kosmos Games. I'm happy to see a lot of people still. I hope you still have some energy for the last two demos. Let me introduce who we are. Okay. So Kosmos Games is a web and mobile games publisher with around 10 years of experience on the market, primarily on the web. And our primary major games are Solitaire Social and Mahjong Social. They are, as you can see, have different ages. One is very fresh, another one is pretty old, but they are still on the tops of grossing, specifically on Facebook games. It's some kind of ranking which can be provided publicly, so I can definitely share this data. So what about me? My name is Alex, and I have 8 years of experience in marketing. Before, I managed marketing in Neki. It's a Shadow Fight games publisher, if you know. And for the last 2 years, I am managing marketing with Kosmos, primarily with web games. Also, as act as a startup advisor and an investor. So, about the web games. From our perspective, game dev industry is very limited on the web in general, comparing to mobile. And at the same time, it's very different from mobile. We are all rediscovering user acquisition and available platforms for our games nowadays due to all those difficulties and changes which we have on mobile environment currently. So I want you to give a fresh look at this from a different perspective than I personally get used to on mobile usually when I was working with mobile games a lot. So here I can share a few of the web games which have at least 30% of their revenue from the web. As you can see, of course, there are much more of the games. This is, I think, one of the most famous. As you can see, there are different genres like farms, RPGs, adventures, and many more represented on the web. And in our case, with board games like Solitaire and Mahjong games, they are also very widely spread on the web. And there are a lot of players, but at the same time, the quality of products on the web usually lower, much lower. Just to give you a better understanding of the volumes which can be found on the web, here is the Solitaire games category in terms of number of installs for the last several months. And you can see that it doesn't grow. It's on flat. At the same time, if you have a look on the web, you can see close the same flat of the number of web users, and at the same time, it's close the same numbers like it was on mobile. On mobile, it was around 24 million downloads per month in average. At the same time, on the web, you can see that the total number of selected, the hugest Solitaire games is around 40 million users. So it's comparable, for example, in terms of this specific category with the mobile. But at the same time, you should to mention, it's also one of the advantages of the web, that you can check their monthly active users volumes, because all the direct traffic is their monthly active users which these applications have. And at the same, you can see that majority of the traffic from this 40 million, not the new users for these games. It's a direct traffic which always come to play their games. But at the same time, still around 20-30%, depends on the game, is a fresh users, new users who are coming to discover new games. And this is the very interesting point, which makes a big difference from mobile as well, that as you can see, this red share of users, it's organic search users. So solitaire, long story short, it shows you that, for example, solitaire games on the web doesn't buy users from the paid channels, for example, at all. They got all the new users from search engine optimization. It's a specific case, it's not for all the web games. I'm just showing you how it works. I would love to mention also other specific differences, not only for board games, but in general how it works for different genres as well, which I massively meet on the market with our friends from the industry. So first of all is the user experience. The user experience with the games on the web is different. In most cases, mobile games have much better retention, higher conversion rates, and also it has a tougher competition in terms of the user acquisition channels. But web games should have better speed of loading, because if you don't have a good speed of loading, usually you won't have a good ranking in terms of search engine optimization. And at the same time, this is some kind of outdated but still strong expectation of the users on the web. You should consider to adapt your onboarding of the game if you are trying to copy-paste your onboarding from mobile title and try to use it the same on the web. 90% it won't work. And at the same time, usually what we see now on the market, you should also choose for which category of devices you would love to play. Because as far as we see, mostly massive players on this market are switching to specific audience, either on desktop or on mobile, or they are splitting the projects for different types of audience, because nobody succeeded on making a good game for both type of devices, for mobile and desktop at the same time. Second difference is analytics approach. You should never ever evaluate and analyze your game and marketing performance, traffic performance through the same scope and models which you use, for example, for other platforms. I'm not talking about the mobile, but even for different web platforms between each other. It goes the same like usually works for different user acquisition channels on mobile. Ad networks differs from social, etc. But for example, on the web, the share of payers, as I mentioned, in games are much lower, and their conversion is delayed a lot. But at the same time, their long-term retention after they build a habit to play the game sometimes can be much higher than on mobile, because again of the lower competition in terms of ad channels to steal. I mean that not many competitors trying to steal your customers, your players from your game, and at the same time, from, let's say, networking practice, I can share that I don't know any game which succeed with user acquisition on the web with unit economy which can afford cost per paying user lower than $1,000, for example, dollars in United States. So it's a huge amount. It doesn't mean that if you don't have this LTV, for example, on mobile, you should not go to the web. It's just different. It's different in terms of conversions, in terms of speed of conversions, and in terms of how the LTV accumulates in your curve, LTV curve. And my personal pain, but actually not my only, I think everyone's, is that there is a very limited market and marketing insights for web games and it's very difficult for nowadays because it's become a part of our life on mobile, but at the same time there is no source of information and marketing insights for the web in general, and especially for the web games. So what about the platforms? I can split the platforms by the availability of monetization models, monetization types, because we are earning primarily from in-apps. And for those kind of monetization, to be honest, there are just a few platforms which at the same time allow this type of monetization and have significant volumes of audience to have a reason to publish there. So of course, primarily, two primary, I think, platforms are Microsoft Store and Facebook Gaming. At the same time, there are some other platforms like now GG Crazy Games and Microsoft Start, which are also web-based, but they are, let's say, more hyper-casual focused or something like this, or classic game focused. So not suitable for everyone. And in terms of ad monetization, there are a lot of them. I don't want to even mention, there are numerous portals and for games localized and worldwide based. But anyway, if you want to publish with such kind of portals, you just go to Azerion because they hold most of these portals in the world, and you will get in most of them at a time. It's worth to mention that here, one exclusive feature on the web, the majority of web players come to the website, as I mentioned, directly and stay for them for the long time with these specific games. But still there is a part of the audience who search for new type of games and new opportunities to entertain on the web. And we can hunt for them, first of all, with help of search engine optimization, and secondly, with advertising. And another side, good for those who monetize within apps on the web, many web games, most of the web games, they are monetized through ads. That means that they can afford user acquisition channels. They don't do user acquisition, paid user acquisition, not because they don't know how to do it. It's because they can't afford it. I would love to talk a little bit about search engine optimization, because after it will be connected to one small case study. So search engine optimization has a lot of technical aspects, but I want to stop first not on non-technical aspects. And you should consider several content and traffic related things to push your ranking on the web. First of all, it's also very important to do this because during the preparation of this search engine optimization activity, believe me, you will find a lot of interesting things about your audience. It's going to be like some kind of your QIC about your audience, because you won't make it properly if you won't do all the preparations job. So first of all, you should make a link building. I think this is one of the strongest things which can push your organic traffic on the search ranking. This is, if just in a few words, this is when somebody publish the link on your website, and at the same time, this source have a good authority on the search engine. This is one of the strongest strategy in general to grow on search engine. The second point is the keywords and content. It's also connected to the first point. You should find the strongest for your game keywords. It's like an ASO on mobile, but it's a much more specific and detailed compared to mobile, because at the same time you can build a specific content landing pages for every search term. And in that case, it can provide you a possibility to gather a wider audience and land them on your website. The third one is the web design. Web design is very important because when you land the audience from the search engine, after you should transfer it somehow to your game, because you are not able to put all the content with all the keyword terms, search terms on the game page, because it will not look good in general and user friendly. So usually most of the websites, they are landing users on some kind of content page related to the search term, and after they transfer it somehow to the game itself. And this is a very strong point in terms of converting of the users, some kind of funnel for the CEO traffic, but it can be, to be honest, it can be skipped in some point. And website optimization, yes, website optimization is important for the user and for the Google search engine, both, because Google search will not put you on the top of the search rankings if you will not have a good speed of loading. At the same time, the user will just leave the website if your game will load for a long time. Basically, this is one of the reasons why the quality of the products are still pretty low on the web, because this is some kind of limitations in terms of traffic generation for organic traffic generation for these games. But I consider search engine optimization like a slow paid UA. Because first of all, you should understand your audience very well and understand the search patterns of the user. If user comes to our solitaire game, that doesn't mean they are searching specifically solitaire game, because they can search the history of the solitaire game. They can search the tournaments, solitaire tournaments, or the history of the solitaire tournaments. They can search for many other, not really even close connected in terms of the content things, which after brings them to your website. So it's very interesting to do all this research in general, because you will understand all the scope of the interest of your audience. And after, when you invest in this search engine optimization, basically when you took the specific ranking on the search engine, it's very hard for the competitors to push out of that, because search engine ranking, it don't like to put on the top unpredictable websites in terms of further user experience with these websites. So at the same time, for search engine services, you can find numerous analytics services and outsources which can help you a lot, even if you are not experienced in that. But things come differently with the analytics of user acquisition on the web. So for the most of user acquisition activities on the web, Google Tags Manager is a must. This is a pretty cool feature, but very generic at the same time, which helps you to track web conversions and set it anywhere you want, to send a post back to different services for further use. I mean, you can send them to your Google Analytics, or you can send to Google Ads, to Facebook Ads and other channels, which can after utilize it for optimization, for visualization of the data, etc. But it's not obvious like with an apps live, for example, which you just integrate, and after you can use it for the tracking and even optimization inside the sources. Here it looks like more like iOS SCAD map, because you need to test a lot with different types of conversion windows, which will suit your specific title. For example, in our game, in one of our games, we tried 1, 2, and 4 weeks of conversion windows. Comparing to mobile, it's unbelievable, because usually on mobile we work with 1 day or 7 days as a maximum. But for web games, even 4 weeks, I can tell you that even 60 days and 90 days, it's okay sometimes for the conversion. And you should still continue testing, because for different type of conversions and different goals of your campaigns, it can be the combination of the conversion window and the conversion event can be different. But now about the primary channel on the web user acquisition activity. Fortunately or unfortunately, Google Ads is the primary web traffic source. But I have to mention that each platform has different best performing channel. For example, for Facebook gaming, Facebook ads performs the best, but not the only one channel for them. At the same time, for Microsoft Store, you have the Wangle by Liftoff. But if you are working with your own website or with any kind of web game, Google can be used as well. And for the standalone website, usually it's #1 channel. So I'll focus now on Google Ads because my further case study will show you how we did one of the experiments on Google Ads. And I would love to mention different type of campaigns which usually work for web games, not only ours, for different perspectives, because it's different from mobile again. There are three, I think, major type of campaigns for the web games, which, as far as I see, used on the market. First is search campaign. It's most robust and efficient in terms of initial launch for the web type of campaign, but it's less scalable. Anyway, when you already did your job well for the search engine optimization, it's very easy to have to launch this type of campaign, because you will have a lot of search terms which is used by your audience, and you will have a huge number of let's say this small ad texts which can be used for good search engine search type of campaign. But again, the limit of this campaign really exists, and at the same time, the statistics of SEMrush, for example, shows that around 50% of web users, especially on desktop, they skip the paid results in the search. They go directly to organic, but still half use it. The second type of campaigns is demand gen campaign. It's a new type of campaigns which consists from YouTube discovery and Gmail inventory of the Google Ads. And it's very good for a start, because you already have the majority of sources which are very good for discoverability of new products for the audience, especially the YouTube and discovery. And it's very easy to launch them. It's pretty close to the interface of the user the in-app campaigns. And it's pretty well scalable at the same time. But the most scalable type of campaigns, and at the same time, I think it's not good for the initial launch, it's a video type of campaign, because usually it goes already when you have an understanding of your benchmarks, of your best performing creatives, of your conversion windows, etc. But when you already have success with them, you can go to the video type of campaigns, because it have almost unlimited number of audience with the YouTube channel primarily, and it's really scaled very well. So, for example, at the same time on the market, I don't see any good success and strong success with the display campaigns, because they really don't perform very well, and to be honest, they are pretty complex type of campaigns for a proper launch, because they have so many tweaks and options to use there. So you should be a real pro on Google Ads on the web to launch it properly. And now the case about our combination of search engine optimization and user acquisition together. Just one of the cases, the latest one. So what we did. It's a pretty uncommon case for mobile marketing, and we combined, as I mentioned, the SEO and paid user acquisition efforts to get a very cheap and relevant, at the same time, relevant traffic for the UA from the United States. So what we've done, we've took the audience of women 45 plus, because this is the core audience of one of our solitaire games, in the United States, who visited our website during the last 180 days, so half of the year, but mainly who came organically from our SEO. And at the same time, they didn't land to our game, so they landed to one of our content pages, content landing pages, which were connected to the search terms, and they didn't play the game. So it was some specific custom audience which didn't play but already visited our website. And there were dozens of thousands of these users, thanks to the SEO, which we already did. Every month, they were coming every month very stably. So we build an audience of these website visitors. We used targeting optimization in demand gen type of campaign. And this is the real numbers. So it was generated in a month. As you can see, of course, the budget is very low, but still the number of installs and the real CPIs in the United States, I don't believe that you can find something like this on mobile environment nowadays, even with hyper-casual games. So what are the key takeaways? We had a completely low CPM, which brings us which we received because of the retargeting type of campaigns. In general, for Google, it was a retargeting type of campaigns, but for our game, it was a new users because they didn't play the game. The second thing was that it was completely relevant audience because most of these users, they previously came on the website organically by their search intents. They were searching something about Solitaire, something relevant about the game. This was the audience from our core semantic, from our semantic core of the website. And at the same time, as you can see, the very low CPI gives us twice lower cost per retention on day 30. So because of this, of the relevancy of this audience, they played really, really well. Of course, we had a very low conversion into purchases with such kind of audience, and if we will see an absolute numbers, it was very low retention compared to other platforms, for example, Facebook Games platform or another platform which we are using for user acquisition as well. But in terms of cost per retained user on the 30 days, it was, for example, twice cheaper than the best results we had before on any kind of platform. So it's just like with a wide user acquisition, with a very narrow funnel, which leave the small share of audience on your website. And as a result, of course, the high predicted ROAS, I couldn't publish their ROAS, but I can say that it's after 3 months, it's already more than 50% the fact ROAS, and it's much better than we have in predicted ROAS now. And this is the great also the search engine optimization gives you a great stability in terms of your organic traffic, because I can show you now our financial results, which we have, for example, with our efforts in terms of standalone website. Here you can see that the blue line is our revenues from standalone website, and the user acquisition costs and search engine optimization costs, because of course you invest in them like in any kind of user acquisition activity. But at the same time, we cut all the activities in the end of 2023 just to have a look how it will perform after we will stop everything with search engine optimization activity. And as you can see, the revenue was stable. The number of users coming, new users coming all the time was completely stable. And then we just restarted with some other experiments because we were sure how it goes in further. So the last tips, which I would love to mention, because usually it comes to mind when you are going to the web. First of all, paid campaigns doesn't affect your search engine optimization ranking at all. It's not working like with ASO and paid UA on mobile. Secondly is access to the game without registration form doesn't improve also usually the conversions, because most of web games, if you will see, they start from the registration form, and after that they provide you an access to the game. We and some of our friends also tried to cut this step and to provide full user experience for the players from the beginning, from just first seconds on the website. To be honest, no any improvements of the conversions in general, just small improvements on the first steps, but in terms of conversion to payers, nothing. But at the same time, you cut your ability to collect third-party data, which is very relevant for further retargeting activities, re-engagement activities, and other things. Also, when you struggle with your web design, in terms of web design, I mean when you should transfer your users from content landing pages to directly to your game, you can cut cuts your path a bit to make a retargeting. So what we did, so we tracked the user who visited the content web page and transferred them with a retargeting direct to the game page. It's very cheap, as you see, and pretty effective. And retargeting, not only paid retargeting, can really build a habit to play the game. So it's not like on the web, on the mobile, when user install the application, usually they play it very often, first days, especially if the game is good. On the web, it's much easier to lose the games, to lose some kind of the web source which you visited yesterday and tried a new game. It's hard to find it after. And social networks, retargeting usually performs better than Google. It's true, not in our experience only. So don't limit your your user acquisition activity on the web only with Google Ads. Try different sources like Facebook, like Taboola, and many others. But try, test, and that's it. If you have any questions, if you still have time for any questions.